Hey crew, I've got the key to this 1999 Honda Civic Si. And this particular Gen 6 Civic is immaculate because it comes from the Honda Museum. And today, I'm gonna see what it's like to live with. Starting with the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. Got that Civic parked at a slight angle there with about 8 inches of room from the front tire to the edge, sitting next to a giant 3-row modern SUV. This is a new Toyota Sequoia that my wife is reviewing. If you want to check out her content, it's at Mobile Mama on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And that one is lined up just about perfectly with the edge of the driveway. And the Civic looks tiny by comparison to the Sequoia. And so with that parking job, there's plenty of room to walk between the vehicles and wheel a double stroller through for my family. The nose of the Civic is parked right at the front of the driveway before the gutter, and at the back, there is tons of space. So much room that I can easily walk in front of the hedge to my front door. Man, and how pretty is this Electron Blue Pearl paint job? Bluish purple with that metallic flake. I would love looking at this every day. Now, hopping inside the Civic Si for the first time with the key fob in my pocket, I can put my hand on the handle and it... You think they had smart keyless entry in '99? No. I'm shocked they even had keyless entry, so I can hit the key fob unlock button and that will unlock the doors. And pulling on that handle, man, these doors are so light by comparison to modern doors. That's one defined door notch there, and I can actually just swing it all the way out and it still won't touch the Sequoia. That's my access point to this cabin. And nestling on down, closing up that door. Hello cabin crew. Thanks for joining for this day in the life in a 99 Honda Civic. Now in this video, I want to see if a 25-year-old performance car can handle modern life. And so the very first thing I need to do is turn it on with a key going in the ignition. Oh, it's been ages since I did that. Now let's hear the idle from outside the car. The little 4-cylinder is so quiet. This is a true cold start. It's been at least 24 hours since I drove this car. And this is how loud the Si is. Wild. And as I lasso on my safety belt and let go the mechanical handbrake, I'll move into first gear here and slowly letting out that clutch. I do have the curb ramps there to help with the clearance of the gutter in front of my driveway, but I think the Si would be fine anyway. And away we go. But I'm not going to go too far before I need to turn on the air conditioning. So there are 3 dials here. This one for the temperature, this one for the direction of the air, and the bottom one for the fan speed. It's that simple. And you know what? It's more effective than most modern cars' AC systems. And that air is blowing nice and cold. Part of the reason is because this thing is effectively brand new. Even though it's 25 years old, it has 2,600 miles on it. I said this was pristine, and it really is. There you go, Mazda Miata. That's about the size of this Civic Si, and I mean that in the most positive way possible. It's so easy to place this car. Feels like I could swim across both lane markings and still be well within them. And driving this 5-speed manual couldn't be simpler. The clutch engagement point is very clear. In fact, I'd say it's even easier to drive than a modern Civic Si, because the new Civic Si, the clutch release is very late and it's not that forgiving. This is so gracious to you. Just row those gears. And the throws are long from this very tall gear shaft, but they do have a defined notch into place. One issue with this Si does immediately come to mind for me. I'm 6 feet tall, and because of this seating position, which cannot be lowered any more than it is right now, my head is sitting basically touching the roof. I don't know if people were made smaller 25 years ago or what, but yeah, I would really prefer to be sitting lower, more in the driving experience, not on top of it. But at least these fabric-coated seats are very comfortable. There's so much nice, cushy padding here, and with the ride quality being as supple as it is for a performance car, again, reminding you of that, it's amazing. It's just so pleasant to drive. And with these giant pieces of glass around me, the windshield being so tall and wide, and the glass on the sides being tall, the pillars being narrow, I can see just about everything, even out that rear view mirror. Yeah, sure, modern cars have safety features like blind spot monitoring or rear cross traffic alerts, but they need them because your naked eye visibility is so restricted in new vehicles. But in something like this, that's effectively a rolling greenhouse, you just turn your head and imagine that, you can see. Of course, the only problem with that being that it does heat up very quickly in this vehicle. So I'm really using that AC system to its maximum potential. And I have arrived at the Lost Bean. And here's a chance to park this Civic Si amidst bigger, more modern vehicles. I'm gonna swing it next to this Nissan Frontier. And go figure. That's about as easy as it is to drive it down the road. Well, I actually ended up moving to a shadier spot because the whole greenhouse issue makes it very warm inside the cabin. But counteracting that is the fact that with the fabric seats, you're not going to burn your skin from the hot leather. Now, I want to show you where you can store a whole lot of things inside this cabin as I now place my coffee in one of the 2 cup holders. So I just pulled out my GoPro accessories. Those were going there before I put the coffee inside. They could go back on the side of them, or, now I do have a choice here. It is gonna be an either or. I can take my large water bottle, and that is gonna fit right inside the other cup holder. They were thinking so far ahead to when the trend of mega aluminum bottles was in full swing in the modern age. That's just wild. So the GoPro accessories now are probably just gonna go in the passenger footwell. Inside this console, which I do have to lift gently, I do have my race box. It's nice and deep in there, along with another GoPro and a granola bar. Then looking over at the door pocket, there's enough room for my wallet and sunglasses. No protection for the lenses, unfortunately. That's just plastic lined. I'm gonna hope for the best. And then my smartphone can go underneath the single DIN radio. It fits perfectly in that slot. The interior storage of the Civic Si is just tremendous. It's honestly as usable as modern SUVs, much bigger vehicles, because those vehicles have all that crash safety protection, and this is just, well, it's much thinner. It's just like hollowed out. Now, backing out of a parking space, I am just so trained to look right here on the console for a backup camera, but of course, that was not a thing in '99. So I am gonna turn my neck here and look over my shoulder, and with those big windows, see that no one is coming. And I feel just as safe as with a backup camera. You know what? I need to go in the other direction. This is gonna give me a chance to do a turning radius test. I'm lined up straight, now I'm gonna crank the wheel. Oh boy. And it's actually a really wide turning circle. Now I know this vehicle is front drive, and that is typically wider than a rear drive vehicle as an example, but man, for a small wheelbase like this, not a great turning radius. Now, out of my driveway, I didn't have any issues with clearance with the help of the curb ramps, but out here in the real world, no curb ramps. So this one is pretty steep, and I'm hopefully going to avoid, yes, any scraping thanks to these short overhangs. That really does help. And on the subject of daily driving concerns, what does the turn signal sound like? Pleasant nostalgia. Whether out of panic or just frustration, if you do need to use the horn in the Civic Si, well, for one, just hitting the center of the wheel won't do anything. That's just the airbag cover. You'll have to use the buttons on the side, and and the noise is probably going to have the opposite effect. It's not going to make someone question their decision. It's just going to make them happier. But at least it'll make you happy too. And speaking of things that make me happy, I'm joined by Mobile Mama. Hello.
Hi, this feels right at home for me.
Does it?
Because I had a 98 Honda Civic. This is a 99.
99,
it
yes.
It feels very similar. This was just me 3 years post-college, just cruising around Santa Barbara in this vehicle.
And you were cruising around slowly because you
slowly.
had a non-SI Civic. Oh, you didn't have a sunroof.
But I didn't have a sunroof. No, I didn't.
Ah!
I like that. But it was in really good condition.
Did you have a manual or automatic?
It was automatic.
Automatic, okay.
But I overheated up hills because I cranked the AC.
I said I'd turn on the AC. It just happened to still be cool outside. I had to actually hit the AC button.
Wow.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was my mistake.
Okay. Because I was like, wait a minute, my car still stayed pretty cool. Why are you so sweaty?
But I mean, the fan's just fine. Like, it's got enough power.
Yeah, but this is fun. This is like, honestly, I had a lot of good times in that little 98 Honda Civic.
Doesn't all like the glass make you happy because it's all airy and bright?
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like I just feel happier driving this car.
Well, it's also just minimal. It's like there's not a ton going on.
No distractions.
It's just you get from point A to point B.
Yeah, well, I mean, the SI, you tried to do it a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's different.
But yes, you're right. For daily driving, it's an A to B car, and it's comfortable, and it's easy to drive.
You're not flipping through the infotainment like it's a phone and finding everything. Your CarPlay. You don't have CarPlay.
No CarPlay, no infotainment.
I also played CDs.
Yeah, it does have a CD player.
Lots of CDs that my friend would make for me.
They burned you CDs.
Yeah, she did.
You're comfortable, am I right?
Yeah, I am. I have plenty of leg room.
The seats have no support side to side.
No.
But they are very pleasantly padded.
But honestly, I feel like this would be like a modern chair in a house these days. Like,
oh, you mean the throwback 90s like fabric pattern?
Look how thin this steering wheel is.
It's a very thin rim. Yeah, it's a big rim, but it feels so nice in the hands. It's so delicate. But the question I'm kind of posing this video is whether something this old could like hack it with modern living requirements.
It forces you to pay attention a bit more. Like, yes, you could get distracted on your phone.
Yeah.
But there are a lot.
But not that distracted. Like the beauty of a manual transmission, you always have to do something.
Yeah, you better be paying
My
attention.
dyslexic sister could only really drive a manual car because she would get distracted all the time, and she needed to use a gearbox to like keep her engaged.
I get too distracted.
Well, so
still drive well.
Yes.
But I get distracted.
Yes, but so you have the simplicity, but you also have the required engagement, and I think that's something that modern people could really use more of.
Well, it's interesting because I was just sitting in the doctor's office and I never watched the news, but on the news it was like, this Tesla which slammed into a police car. He was using autopilot and on his phone. And so I'm like, okay, that is not an excuse to not pay attention, but that is how people are. That's how we are these days.
Yeah, we've kind of been dulled to distraction.
Yeah, check out,
with all the different pieces of technology. Like, it's overstimulating in some modern cars. Now, the problem with driving an older car in that environment is not that you would have the same distractions, but you don't have the same safety standards.
That's the one concern that, like, if I'm driving my kids around, this doesn't have blind spot monitoring. This doesn't have, like, that's all up to you.
Yeah, well, the point I was making earlier is, like, as far as passive safety stuff, yeah, this SI doesn't have it. But active safety is just your eyeballs in this car. You just kind of look and see. And speaking of C, what about something from the... Yeah, it was terrible. What about something from the sea at Pacific Catch?
I'm sure people have noticed that we just frequent the same restaurant.
We do. You know what? Honestly, creatures of habit. We'll
and you act like it's new and exciting.
No, it's not new and exciting.
And we're like, no, this is just where we go.
It's not. And we'll eat here until we're sick of it. That's just the way we do things. Yeah, so typically we film our food before we eat it, but
today was different.
Yeah, we're
driving a different car.
Driving a different car. Doing different things. We were hungry. Yeah. So just believe us that our poke bowl and cod salad were delicious. Now it's up to us to evaluate the family friendliness of the SI with our car seats. We've got one on this side and one on the driver's side. So let's see, how do we get access to the back seats?
This lever.
Okay.
Oh,
and it's a one
very efficient
motion.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like a lot of room here. Okay, show me.
That's nice, because I don't like this two-door situation.
Before you do that, I want to see if I can even do that on the driver's seat. It's unusual for a coupe to do that. No, I can just move the back angle. All right, and then I'd have to manually slide this here. I guess it's still faster than a power-operated seat. Okay, now let's put in our car seats. I've got the bigger boy here, and I will say, this is actually way easier than I expected.
Really?
Yeah, that was super simple. Got that in there quick.
Here's what's really easy. There's no tether, no lower latch anchors.
No tethers, no latch anchors. So we're just using a seatbelt.
Which is not great because I like the security of the lower latch anchors and the tethers, but it's a quick installation.
Hey, like I said in the Land Cruiser, you and I made it. And we're children of this generation.
I really don't like that statement, but okay.
I'm sorry, we survived. Our kids will too. Okay, you got your seat back in position. There's daylight there between that and the car seat. And now to do mine, back angle first and then slide just a little bit. That leaves her some leg room and
yeah.
that's That's actually right where I would have had it normally for myself.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm closer up. Like, hello.
But your knees aren't touching.
It's
Sports
pretty upright, though.
Yeah? You want more back angle?
If you're shorter than 5'9".
Yeah. Well, or if you have two kind of forward-facing car seats. So the SI may not be built for kids, but it'll make do. What about adults in the back seats? I'm gonna get in on the passenger side so I don't mess with my driving position. Just that one lever, that's so nice. And the access point is very spacious. Now I will climb behind my driver's seat. Let me move this seat back into position. Sliding forward, easy enough. I do have knee room here and the foot pockets are nice, but oh, yeah, the headroom isn't great. Head is pressed uncomfortably against the roof. I can slouch a little bit, but there goes the lumbar, and I do have a cup holder, no armrest, nothing else. Yeah, so if your friends are on the smaller side, they'll be just fine, but big adults, no go. That'll do for the test fitting of people, but now we need to see about fitting cargo with a run to Costco. So I was thinking about what was popular in the late 90s when the Civic Si was new. It's like Walkman, hip-hop, lava lamps, and mini fridges. So I picked up one of those along with the rest of my Costco trip. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not going to be taking it easy on this Si. Is this gonna fit in there? Let's just get this out of the way first. The biggest item doesn't clear the trunk opening, and so even though the capacity of the trunk looks good, that's sort of a non-starter. There may be another way around this though, because you see, with this key inserted into this slot and turned to the left and the right, I can dislodge the seat backs and fold them down. Now, after just removing the head restraint and the entire mini fridge from its box, I was able to slowly, carefully maneuver the fridge through the slot and onto the back seats folded. That's the most I've had to work for anything doing these. And yes, the rest of the trunk is plenty large to swallow up the remainder of the Costco trip with room to spare for, you guessed it, I'm taking all of this packing material with me. This is so fun. Trucks and SUVs? Bah, all you need is a 90s Civic and a little bit of creativity. This one is most certainly Costco approved. Before I leave, I might as well top up this fuel tank. And the EPA rated the 1999 Civic Si at 26 mpg city, 31 highway, and 28 combined. And with this 11.9 gallon tank, that would give me a fuel range of 333 miles. And the beauty of having a naturally aspirated four-cylinder, unlike a turbocharged modern motor, is that I don't need 91 octane fuel. I can make do with just 87. And with current fuel prices of $4.19 for that per gallon, it's gonna cost me just about 50 bucks to fill this tank. Unfortunately, yeah, no capless fueling. Yesterday was all about practicality and daily driving, but today it's gonna be about fun. We're gonna see if 25-year-old performance is still exhilarating enough for the modern man. Let me spend a minute talking about this motor. So I mentioned it's a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder. I didn't tell you it makes 160 horsepower and 111 pound-feet of torque. It also has VTEC, which is variable valve timing. What that means is that when you're just around towning it below 5,500 RPM, it's not all that exciting. It's got enough pep, but moreover, you're just kind of relying on the fact that the vehicle doesn't weigh very much. It's like 2,600 pounds. That is what makes it easy enough to get up to speed. But really, it's not until you get past 5,500 RPM that you feel the VTEC kick in, and the motor wakes up and goes to work. And it's kind of funny because in that way, this old Civic Si is kind of like a new Civic non-Si, like a sport model that's powered by a 1.5 turbocharged four-cylinder. Because in that situation, you're waiting for the boost to build up, and this one, you're waiting for the VTEC to kick in. And there is additional relevance to that comparison because a new Civic Sport gets to 60 in about 7.5 seconds. That's right around the 0 to 60 of this car when new. So let's see how close we get to that. I've got my race box set up to record. I'm into first gear. Gonna rev it out a little bit. Some tire spin off the line. Now we're rolling all the way out to 8,000. One shift. Am I gonna get there? No, I gotta shift again. And there's 60 in 9.2 seconds. So the number says old, but the feeling says young and vibrant and alive. I'll tell you one thing for sure. I would shave off at least a full second, if not for the tire spin generated by these 195 section Hankook all-season tires. Even still, I'd have to shift twice to get to 60, and so the 99 SI, not really the best drag race vehicle, but then again, neither is the new Civic. But who cares? That's not the point of this car. It's about using the low curb weight and the four-wheel disc brakes and the sport-tuned suspension and the anti-roll bars to put a smile on your face, to string it all the way out, to stay in VTEC range while hustling through curves. And yeah, by modern standards, there is a lot of body roll. There's some more play to the steering, but there's also a spectacular depth of feel and eagerness and energy, and makes me want to bond with the character of this car. It's that slow car fast, underwritten by engagement, that is so difficult to find these days, and is something that I would very much like to hold on to from a decade gone by, from 2-3 decades gone by. When sports cars just had a purity to them in the sub $20,000 price territory. I want to go back in time. And thanks to Honda, I have. And I'll express my gratitude in person tomorrow at the Honda Bikes, Cars, and Coffee event hosted at their headquarters. But for the rest of today, I think I'll just do more of this. To get to the show this morning, I am going to be on the highway for a little while, and this will give me a chance to see what a commute in 1998 would have felt like with the Civic Si. So I'm going to quiet up first and we'll listen for the cabin volume. Of which there is a good deal of it. Wind noise, tire noise, road noise. This is a louder road surface, but we just don't have much in the way of insulation in this cabin, so I hear all of what's going on. So this would be a pretty loud commuting environment. I also don't have much in the way of driving assistance features, though I do still have regular old cruise control. I have to activate that in 2 steps. I hit the cruise button here, and then I set the speed here. And having that in the manual transmission car is pretty nice, because you're just going to be chilling in 5th gear for a while. And yeah, when I say chilling, I mean I'm sitting at 4,000 RPM at about 72 miles per hour. That also is adding to the noise, and it's a place where an overdrive 6th gear would have really been nice. At least I've got the radio. And for royalty reasons, that's all I can let you hear of it. And I've made it to Honda HQ. They're just getting started here. I'm still an hour before the show, but already people are turning out. Maybe I'll park next to this S2000 or next to the other Civic. I've made it, and shortly after I parked, Jeffrey parked his other 6th gen SI, the hatchback. I love the look of that one. And one thing I'm enjoying about this show is that it's not even all just Honda and Acura vehicles or even cars from a certain era. And that's the beauty of car enthusiasm, is we can understand and respect other enthusiasts for whatever they enjoy. Quick pause for coffee from the Power of Dreams Cafe here inside the main building. And while I'm in here, we've got to check out some of the Honda and Acura concepts that they have in their collection. Future visions from the past. Now I'm ready to do a day in the life on the 91 Acura NSX. And just look at these awesome design sketches. And Honda brought out some of the folks who make them. Well, those are students, but one day. And yes, I will take a quick break with an egg and pastrami breakfast burrito. why not? The show is in full swing now, so here are some of my highlights. R34 GTR? Yes, please. How about just the spotlessness of this Acura Legend interior? I've got a soft spot for this generation Mustang SVT Cobra. Gen 1 CRX? Gorgeous. With the navy interior. This Honda Street van? Tiny, but with so much presence. Deliciously modded S2000 and NSX. And this inconspicuously parked Ferrari 355 F1 Berlinetta. And my days on two wheels are over, but it's great to see it. Goodbye, beautiful RX-7. And goodbye, Honda Cars, Bikes, and Coffee. What a show. Well, crew, at the beginning of this video, I pondered whether a 25-year-old performance car could handle the needs of current life. And after quality time spent with this pristine 99 Civic Si, I can confirm a few ways in which it is up to task, and a few ways it isn't. Spectacular visibility, ease of driving, cargo capacity, and fuel efficiency are all on par with, or even better than, contemporary cars. However, crash safety, convenience features, and straight line performance are all a bit substandard. Modern cars can spoil us in many ways, but they can also disconnect us from the drive. And that's a part of life we can cherish from ancestral autos like this one. I hope you guys have enjoyed this day in the life, and I will see you again next time.